Hi, I'm Amanda McKay. I'm a professional artist and I'm going to be giving you creativity tips in these videos that will help you whether you're an artist, an aspiring artist, or you just want to work on some kind of a creative hobby. These are tips that will help everyone no matter of their experience level. Today I'm going to talk about what to wear to be more creative. Now, there are a couple of things that are probably obvious, and I'll just go ahead and state those to get them out of the way. The first would be if you're planning to do something messy, obviously you want to wear clothes that you don't mind ruining potentially. Hopefully that's something that goes without saying. And then another more important thing to think about is potential safety issues. For example, if you were going to be cooking and reaching into a hot oven, you wouldn't want to wear flowing bell sleeves that are going to catch fire. Again, hopefully these 2 points are already very obvious to you. Now, I'm going to move on to two tips that are a little less obvious, probably. Now, the first one is to wear comfortable clothes, as comfortable as possible and as often as possible. Um, all of us, I think, tend to have days with lower energy or things that are harder to control, like lack of sleep or maybe getting a headache. And these are things that would interfere with the creative process or the process of making art for that matter. So if you can at least have comfortable clothes, you are several steps ahead of the game. And you can hardly find me in uncomfortable clothes ever at all. I've made a point to not be going around in spandex and high heels all that often because it's really hard for me. I'm just distracted by how uncomfortable I feel, and that gets in the way with coming up with ideas. So I've tried to come up with, even for, if I go into an office or something, that I have something that's reasonably comfortable. And that really does make a difference. I have mentioned in earlier videos that I tend to do a lot of my creating late in the evening where I'm sitting on the couch in my pajamas. And that's a perfect example. These are comfy pajamas. They're not anything frilly or lingerie. They're just whatever is comfortable. And another time that I'm creative is when I'm actually taking reference photos to paint from. I'll wear something very comfortable and, like jeans and a sweatshirt or something that can get really messy. And that way I can focus on what I'm doing and not think about what I'm wearing. So the other tip that I wanted to mention today about what to wear to be more creative is, can you come up with some sort of a uniform, in quotation marks, that lets you know that it's time to get to work and start thinking about things? Now, I started doing this when I was a teenager in college, and I was taking a lot of the academic classes, but then also I was taking painting classes. And obviously the painting classes would get really messy, but I wanted to be able to wear cute clothes the rest of the time into my other classes and just worry about covering up my clothes while I was painting. And a lot of artists would traditionally use some kind of a smock, but I actually had one of my dad's shirts. At that time when I was a teenager, I weighed in the double digits and was teeny tiny, and my dad was a really big man. He was actually a big, kind of scary to a lot of people, almost like a pro wrestler. So he was a lot bigger than I was, and so I would wear an old button-up shirt of his, and it was the same shirt over and over, and it would effectively cover up just about my entire body, like at least down to my knees and anything I was wearing, and would protect my clothes. But after a while, I realized that when I would put on this button-up shirt just over whatever clothes I was wearing, this was almost like my paint uniform. Back when I was in college, I would still be creative at this point. I've mentioned now that with the kind of work that I do, there's not a lot of creativity by the time I sit down to paint. The creativity comes before that because I work from reference photos. But at this time, I was still being creative while I was painting, and I would put the shirt on over my clothes, and it just kind of signaled to me it is time to get to work and paint and be creative. And of course, notice this was still something comfortable to wear because I didn't want to be uncomfortable. But just putting on that shirt would make me feel like this is my paint uniform, and now I can get to work and really be creative. So I recommend that you think if there's some kind of a uniform, in quotation marks, that you can come up with for yourself that would be useful. You know, it could be a bracelet or something, a certain shirt that you wear. But one thing to keep in mind, if you really want this uniform to work, is it works best if it's something that you are aware of while you are creating. And so that would mean either it's going to be in your field of vision or it's something that you could feel. For example, if you had a hat that you always wore when you wanted to get to work and be creative, then that would probably work, because presumably you would be aware the whole time that you have this hat on your head. Or maybe even there's a pair of glasses that you would put on, and again, you can tell something's different, you're wearing glasses. I mentioned a bracelet instead of a necklace. Even if you had some kind of a necklace that would really feel like, okay, you're getting down to work, if you're me anyway, you would tend to forget that you're wearing that necklace, and the effect might not work as well. So if you have a bracelet and you're doing something where your hands are in front of you, then that would possibly work better. So I went through a phase for a while where I was using Sharpies to write reminders on the back of my hand where I knew I would see it. And whatever little message I wrote, it was often a number that had significance for me at that time. But it was something that I would see over and over. If, for example, I drew something on my forehead, I wouldn't really see that unless I was standing in front of a mirror, and then I wouldn't be aware of it as much. And my point is that if you're going to do this uniform idea, it needs to be something that you're going to continue to be aware of, and hopefully not because it's uncomfortable. But that's why I said something like a hat, where you would feel that you've got it on your head, or a bracelet, something that's going to be in your line of view. That oversized shirt that I borrowed from my dad, it covered up my arms, and so when I was painting, I could see the sleeves as I was painting, but at the same time, they weren't dragging in the paint. So again, to summarize, wear something comfortable, and if you can come up with a comfortable uniform that you're going to be aware of without it making you feel uncomfortable, then that could be extremely helpful. So give it a try, see what you can come up with. And again, I hope you found these tips to be useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And again, my name is Manda McKay. Thank you again for watching.